Good afternoon, everybody. I feel like she did my whole speech for me right there. So look, we're going to try to do our best here. We got some IT things going on, but I just want to thank AWS and Collision for inviting us to be here to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, something that's important to the planet, and it's flipping the script and shifting our approach to addressing climate change. Okay? I've been in clean tech for over 20 plus years, and there's been many conclusions that I've had, and one of them is that guilt is not the path to progress. In our efforts to combat climate change, clean tech and climate tech companies have often relied on guilt as a motivator. We bombard everyone with the doomsday scenarios about polar ice caps melting, emissions rising sea levels. However, the approach fails to resonate with people at a psychological level and rarely rarely inspires meaningful action. So what truly motivates people? The behaviors and individuals of peoples and individuals. How do you get people together to a point of consensus across political lines in a world that's heavily politicized? It's simple, self-interest. As human beings, we're inherently wired to prioritize our immediate needs and the tangible benefits we receive. We make decisions based on what directly impacts our day-to-day lives. This is the key insight we need to understand to leverage and drive change effectively. Emissions simply don't meet that threshold. We can't see emissions. We can't feel emissions. They don't materially affect our lives on a day-to-day basis. Just bear with me on the notes. The only action that guilt creates with companies is greenwashing. So let me go around the room and ask a couple of questions once I flip this slide. Oh. So when has guilt ever stopped you from actually taking a plane ride because of the emissions? When has guilt ever stopped you from actually eating a steak based on the emissions that are created from actually getting steak from a cow? Probably never. So let's acknowledge the facts. Once I flip the slide. Climate change is undeniably real, and its impacts are far-reaching. However, they rely solely on discussions about rising temperatures and melting ice caps that will not lead to long-standing behavioral change. These issues, while critically important, do not immediately and materially affect people's lives. And as a result, they fall on deaf ears. Glaciers don't materially affect people's lives until they run out of water. Melting ice caps don't affect nations, cities, and countries until those nations, cities, and countries basically become unlivable from that perspective. And that's probably arguably multiple decades away from that being happening. Human beings are remarkably bad at long-term thinking. So instead of trying to fight against thousands of years of human conditioning, we need to start leaning into cold hard facts of human behavior. We must focus on material problems that exist in the energy industry today that are tangible, urgent, and affect businesses and individuals on a day-to-day basis. So let's break it back down to fundamentals of what makes a good, viable business case. Okay, so if you go back to your MBA days or your business days, there needs to be existence of a real problem. There needs to be an urgent need to solve that problem. There needs to be policy and regulatory frameworks that allow for people to make long-term investments. There needs to be existence, obviously, of a viable solution. And there needs to be strong market fundamentals that allow third parties to invest over the longer term. But let's talk about the actual problem, and perhaps it's not what you perceive it to be. It's actually not emissions. I'm trying, I apologize. This is interesting. All right. It's actually access to affordable and reliable electricity. In the US, more than 2/3 of the transmission and distribution lines are over 25 years old. And as a result of this aging infrastructure, it costs the US government more than $150 billion of costs on an annual basis. These outdated systems are increasingly prone to failure, leading to blackouts and massive economic losses. Aging infrastructure and energy insecurity is a material problem that people can understand because they feel it. Blackouts have significant cost impacts. Grid failure would be even more catastrophic. You don't need to look too far from a winter storm that hit Texas, of all places, where it costs individuals and businesses hundreds of billions of dollars as a result of losses. And this is just one of the problems that the energy transition is solving today. But this problem actually touches people's lives. As I stated before, knowing the problem doesn't change behavior. We know about problems posed by climate change, and it's certainly not inspiring the action that we need. So what we need to do... Oh, sorry. This is a little bit of help here. Do you want someone to come just push the slide over? Yeah? Okay, you want to do that? You gonna do it? Okay, thank you so much. So what we need to do is highlight the existence of an urgent need to solve these problems, and where the economic case becomes paramount. Most businesses, if not all businesses, are driven by the bottom line, and rightfully so. We must demonstrate the transition to clean energy and adopting practices that's not only good for the environment, but good for the actual bottom line for businesses. And for many businesses, energy is the second largest cost after labor. Thankfully, next slide please. Thankfully, strong policy framework is emerging to support transition. Governments around the world are putting in place regulatory and policy frameworks that enhance the economic case for energy storage and energy transition. This provides a solid foundation for businesses to align their strategies and tap into enormous economic potentials of clean energy. In the US, President Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which provided businesses with a stable economic environment to plan and invest in renewable energy. This stability reduces financial uncertainties. Underneath the IRA is the Investment Tax Credit, the ITC. The ITC provides businesses the ability to subsidize the upfront capital costs to be able to implement clean energy solutions. And what that does, it increases the overall profitability of clean energy projects. It increases the financeability of projects. So with stable market conditions and financial benefits, these policies encourage businesses to embrace clean energy, leading to a smoother transition towards a sustainable future. And what has that resulted into? Well, a lot of people invested in US manufacturing. So by 2027, the manufacturing battery capacity in the US will tenfold, which is pretty remarkable for such an industry in its infancy. Just the next slide, please. The fourth fundamental is the existence of a viable solution. And I think this is probably the most exciting part, and perhaps it's me being the CEO of a tech company. Clean tech and climate tech companies are at the forefront of innovation. They're developing groundbreaking technologies and services that can revolutionize the energy grid. We have seen tremendous advancements in renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, energy storage, smart grid. These innovations not only provide environmentally friendly alternatives, but provide lucrative opportunities for businesses to reduce costs, improve operational efficiency, tap into new revenue streams, and gain a competitive edge. Batteries are getting better and better. The ability to store energy when it's cheap and in abundance, and dispatch it during the day when renewables need to be more integrated and dirty gas power plants can be shut down, is paramount. Additional good news on the next slide is the market fundamentals are already in place, and they're getting better each year. If you just follow where the money is being stored, which is on the next slide, please. You see the money where the money is being stored. VCs are basically, and there's some VCs in the crowd today, VCs follow where the money is. They are investing billions and billions of dollars in the energy transition, and not out of the goodness of their hearts, right? They're not charities. So all you have to do is following the money. So if you look at Bloomberg New Energy Finance, more than $1.1 trillion was deployed in the energy transition in 2022, equivalent to the amount of investment that's done in carbon technologies, which is a remarkable stat. And it's exactly what my company did. We followed the money, and we were able to raise $35 million US in our last raise because of what we're doing on the energy transition. So I thought it'd be good to kind of come up with an example to kind of talk about another industry that went through significant change, but also, hit tremendous headwinds. If you look at the transition of the banking sector to a digital banking, they too had very similar challenges from that perspective. So despite clear benefits of digital banking, there was initial resistance and skepticism within the industry. Just on the next slide, please. Traditional banks were concerned about security risks, customer adoption, impact on brick and mortar stores. More customers were also hesitant to trust online platforms with their financial information and their sensitive, personal information from that perspective. But banking needed to remain accessible and people needed it. There would have been a massive problem if there was a disconnect between the banking industry, which was to stay analog, and the rest of the world that was becoming digital. Can you imagine a world where e-commerce and digital banking did not exist? To address these challenges on the next slide, banks had to invest in robust security measures, educate customers about the safety and convenience of digital banking. They also had to develop user-friendly interfaces and ensure a seamless and intuitive customer experience. Regulatory frameworks had to be established to protect customers, enhance cybersecurity, enhance privacy, and build trust in online platforms. And the result on the next slide is, over time, more customers embraced digital banking as a viable solution. Its advantages become increasingly apparent. Online banking offered 24-hour access to account information, the ability to conduct transactions wherever you were, on the beach, at a cottage. It allowed you to be able to simplify money management, to access things like Mint and so on and so forth, which led to a huge shift towards people embracing digital banking. So the market had fundamentally changed. And today, digital banking has become the norm in the industry. So what can we learn from the digital banking example? We can understand the importance of addressing concerns, educating stakeholders, and highlighting the benefits of solutions can actually shift the market change and overcome resistance in a market. Just visualize what I'm saying. You'll see it. It's all good. So to truly flip the script on the energy transition, we need to change the way we communicate with individuals and businesses. Instead of relying on guilt and tactics and fear tactics, we should emphasize the positive aspects of sustainability. We should highlight the numerous benefits for clean tech solutions, such as reduced energy costs, income opportunities, and access to new markets and customers. We need to speak the language of the businesses, which is return on investment, long-term financial stability, and strategic advantages. By framing the conversation around these economic drivers, we can create a compelling business case for the owners of businesses and the owners of homes. In conclusion, flipping the script on the energy transition requires us to make a strong economic case for change. Guilt and fear tactics may momentarily capture attention, but they rarely inspire lasting action. Instead, we need to focus on material problems that exist today, like the aging grid infrastructure and the complications that arise with it. By demonstrating the economic advantage of transitioning to clean energy and leveraging a support and policy framework that exists today, we can drive necessary behavioral change in both individuals and businesses. On the next slide, please. The exciting part is we have the technology, the innovation, and the opportunity to create a sustainable future. By communicating the benefits and opportunities presented by clean tech and climate tech solutions today, we can flip the script and drive widespread adoption. Let us embrace the challenge with optimism and determination, knowing that together we can make a positive impact on the world and secure a prosperous future for generations to come. Thank you.